Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Tiny Learn Hub and welcome back to our SQL interview series. So I am previously discussed all the topic and in our previous episode we have discussed like the case when and how SQL can make the decisions between based on the data. So today we are going to look on another topic on the SQS concept that appears everywhere in real world database, that is null values. And more specifically, we are going to learn about the very useful function called that is clauses. Okay, so here is the problem. Imagine you have an employee table, so with that salary and that bonus information. So some employees have a bonus and employees don't. So what should we report display? When the bonus is missing. So should it display as null or would it be more useful to display zero? So that's exactly the kind of problem clauses can solve. So now let's get started. So as you see, I have one table. So let me run these comments first. Okay, so here I have created one table that is employee 15 and I have added some values into it. Okay, now there is some values like null not equals to 0. Okay, and null not equals to as a double quoted comma or null not equals to as a null. If I want to explain it like suppose I can explain it like this way, like null, it cannot be as a, not equals to as a 0. Sorry. Now, or null not equals to as this, or null not equal to is null. So here, before we understand the clauses, we need to understand the null. Okay, the null means that a value is missing, unknown, or not available. It does not mean zero. It does not mean an empty string, and it is not the text as null. Okay, and for example, if an employee doesn't have a bonus record, the bonus column might not contain any other value. It might contain the null. Okay, that means we don't have a bonus value for this particular employee. Now, I want to run one query that is, this is the one. So I want to see the employee table. So let's look at our employee table. Okay. Notice the bonus column. Sam have 5,000 bonus. Okay. Alex has 7,000. And but John has null. David has null. Okay. So this doesn't necessarily means they received zero. It simply means here is no value recorded in this column. Now, the first query I want to execute in this episode, that is, yeah, so this is the one. Now let me execute this one first. So in here, suppose we want to find employees whose bonus is missing. So we executed this query and here we can see all the null values because the bonus are missing for this for those particular employees. So this is correct. Now if the bonus is null, suppose bonus is equals to null, so that's incorrect. Okay, is SQL null represent as unknown or missing value? So normally, equality comparison isn't how we test for it. Okay, use is null or is not null, not the null only. Okay, now here is comes. Here comes another query into this picture. So let me execute this one first. Yes. Now, let's introduce the clauses. Okay. So clauses looks at the values you provide from left to right. Okay. It returns the first value that isn't null. Think of it like a fallback system. Give me this value. If it's null, try this one. Okay. If that's also null, try the next one. So that's the basic idea behind clauses. Okay. Now let's come to the next query. So this is the one. Yeah. So in here, as you see, we are saying like if bonus has has a value, so use it. If bonus is null, use zero. Okay. So in here, if so Sam's bonus is 5,000. Okay, and Alex's bonus is 7,000. So if I see any other value which is employee don't have that bonus is come as a zero. Okay. Now this is extremely useful when creating reports when we don't want missing values to appear as null. Now, here comes another picture, another query into this picture. Uh, yeah. So, hmm. Now in here, so we basically see all that. Clauses can also accept the multiple values. Here we are saying like first try bonus. If bonus is null, try the salary. If salary is also null, return zero. So clauses is not limited to just two values. It can have multiple fallback options. Now, this is very useful in the real world example. Like suppose we want the salary plus bonus as a total compensation. So, but the employee have the null bonus. Okay. So as I executed this query, so as you see, like here, null can cause a real problem. Suppose bonus is null. So what happened when we calculate salary plus bonus? The result can become null because we are performing a calculation with a missing value. Instead, we can use the clauses bonus as a zero. So this calls the SQL. If there is no bonus, treat it as a zero for the calculation. So now our total compensation calculation works correctly. So you might be wondering, like, couldn't we do the same thing with case? Okay. So in here, I write it down one query that is using the case. So this produce the same basic result as the uh, the first one does. Okay, the bonus comma zero as bonus amount. We implemented that before. So when we are simply looking for the first non-null value, clauses is often much shorter and easier. Okay, to read basically. So now there are some common mistakes like where bonus is equals to null when we are using one thing that is where bonus is null. So don't use this to find the null values. Okay. So it is not the right format to find the null values. Now, sometimes you can use it like assuming null means zero. Okay. So now if I see like the, null, sorry. Null equal to zero. No, assuming null equals to zero, it not how it works. Null means the value is missing or unknown. And there is another mistake is like forgetting that null can affect calculation. For example, salary plus bonus can produce an unexpected null result when bonus is null. And instead of salary, instead of using this one, like instead of using the salary plus bonus like this one to get the wrong result, we can use it like this way. So using clauses, okay, this is the one. Then we can check the bonus. If it is zero, take the zero in the summation. If it is there is a bonus, then count it, summation it, and add it in the total compensation column. So you can see the proper compensation for the each and every particular employee. And there is some another mistakes like using clauses without understanding the order. Clauses returns the first non-null value from left to right. Now, there is some interview questions like what does clauses do? So, it returns the first non-null value from a list of expression. And if someone asks you like is null as same as zero? No, null represent a missing or unknown value while zero is an actual numeric value. There is another question like how do you check for null? Like use is null or is not null. Okay. Now, can coalesces accept like more than two values? Yes, it can accept multiple expressions and return the first not null one. And there is the last question like why is clauses useful? Like is useful for a handling missing data, creating cleaner report, and preventing null values from interfering with calculation. Okay, now there is some practice challenges for you guys. So use this exact script. Here is today's challenge. Like we have our employee table. You can use another table, that's up to you. So, employee table should contain the employee name, salary, and bonus. Okay. Some employee have a null bonus. Your first task is to write a query that displays the employee name, salary, and bonus, and a new column called compensation. So, total compensation should be salary plus bonus, but if the bonus is null, treat it as a zero. Now, there is some bonus challenges for you guys as well. Like find all the employees whose bonus is null. Pause the video and try it yourself. I'll post the solution into the pinned comment. So, in our today's episode, we learned about what null means. Is null or is not null? What is the difference between these two? Clauses, multiple fallback values, clauses with calculation, clauses and versus the case, and common null mistakes. And most importantly, null is not zero. That's a very important concept to remember for SQL interview. If you found this episode useful, like this video and subscribe to my SQL interview series for more practical SQL and interview focused lesson. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, bye.